Members, we have a presentation this morning to recognize the Toronto Argonauts, winners of the 109th Grey Cup Championship. I would like to call Mayor Tory to give the presentation.
Thank you, Speaker. We are very pleased and very proud to welcome members of the Toronto Argonauts to celebrate with us, and it's to celebrate not just their victory in the Grey Cup, which is something that brought pride to the city and to this council, and I would say particularly to Councillor Ainsley, who I conceded in front of the team this morning, is, I'm sure, unless there's other information I don't know about, the most rabid, most loyal, most determined Toronto Argonaut fan, because I have seen him going to so many games and functions and so forth. This is the second time during my time as mayor that I've had the privilege of, on your behalf, welcoming the Argos to City Hall as Grey Cup champions, the first time being after their win in 2017. As you know, though, I have a very strong and a very heartfelt connection to the Canadian Football League, which makes it even more special for me. I started off as their lawyer, and then one day, in some kind of quirk of fate, I was asked to be the chair of the Board of Governors because they were looking for somebody who wasn't an owner that could sort of deal with that unruly group back in days when the league was struggling. And the league, like a lot of Canadian institutions, it struggles because this is a big country. This is our game. It's only really played here. It features Canadian players and a unique Canadian game. And that just means that relative to some of the other kinds of organizations in the game of football, it's a challenge to keep it going, as are many things that are very Canadian in their nature. And what I hadn't done, and I try to do a better job of it these days, is to read the fine print, because I didn't realize when you become the chair, which is a volunteer position, if the commissioner of the day, who's the CEO of the league, resigns, you become the commissioner on an acting basis. And in my case, I served as commissioner of the Canadian Football League as a volunteer for 4 years during the time when the league was struggling and was on the brink of, frankly, of insolvency and of collapsing. And you know, did pour my heart and soul together with a lot of other people into trying to preserve it as the century-old organization that it and its predecessors were. And I can tell you that while when you're the commissioner, you have to be completely neutral about one team versus another because you're overseeing the conduct of the league. One of the greatest thrills that I had in my life, as somebody who'd been a Toronto Argonaut fan myself since I was about 8 years old, was not once but twice during my 4 years as commissioner to present the Grey Cup to the Toronto Argonauts. And so this really just carries that along. And of course, it has this iconic and historic trophy here that I think most Canadians would recognize on sight as something that in our sports world, you know, together with the Stanley Cup, are instantly recognizable things, and this has been around for a long time. When you look at you know, the game of football, like all professional athletes, I think a lot of us would feel this way. These are incredible people who combine teamwork, who combine sort of the intellectual aspect of the game, which is all about a lot of strategy and so on, with an incredible athleticism. But I think what's almost more important than that in the context of the Toronto Argonauts is that this team, perhaps because it is from a league that is grassroots, it is by the communities that it's from, it is of those communities. It is, in the case of like the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they literally sell bread and they sell beer and they have all kinds of community events to finance the operation of the team. And the people of Saskatchewan own the team. It's a bit different here. But the bottom line is the same, which is that this team is more involved, I would say, or as involved in the community as any of the professional sports teams we have. And that's evidenced in part by the fact that some of the players who are here today live here. And, you know, this is no criticism of anybody in any other sport, but a lot of the players in some of the other professional sports, you know, aren't here all year. And so they don't have as much of a chance to get as involved in the community as do the members of the Toronto Argonauts. And I think that is a point of great pride of this team and its predecessors as well, that they are people that live here in many cases, that are going to make their lives here before, during, and after football. And so it is important for us to acknowledge the big victory they won in Winnipeg, where they took on a team in Winnipeg that had been the champions for 2 years previous and beat them. And it did go down to the final minutes. I think those who had a chance to watch any part of the game remember how exciting it was and what a tough task that it was. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen him come in yet, and I can afford to make this joke because I've known him for probably, I don't know, 30 years at least. Pinball, Clemons, you know, he he is once again, having had various sojourns with the team, sort of the heart of the team in the non-player category. And I think you all know who he is. I don't need to introduce him, but he was to be here this morning to come up and say a few words, but he sometimes operates in a different time zone. And this is a historic reality that everybody who knows him knows is the case. So he's not here at the moment. The person who is here is the second-year head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie, who will come up in a moment and just say a few words on behalf of the team and formally sort of accept our congratulations to them. I just want to conclude by saying, and this is just all about you know, the need that constantly exists in the Canadian Football League. It is a proud Canadian institution. It plays a uniquely Canadian game. It plays that game only in Canadian cities. And it operates on a different set of sort of economics and fan support than do perhaps some of the other teams. And that's not a criticism, it's not anything, it's just a statement of reality. And I just hope the people of Toronto will get behind a team that has existed longer than all the other teams. It's been around for more than 100 years. In fact, they will celebrate as a team, not necessarily in the Canadian Football League. The Toronto Argonauts will have their 150th anniversary this year, which is an extraordinary accomplishment if you think about it for any institution in this city, which itself is quite young. And so no second place here. We're honored to have Coach Ryan, and you should come on up right now if you would, in the absence of our friend Pinball. And we know he's here in spirit, and he's probably somewhere between here and Oakville. Who knows? But I would like to with our warmest congratulations, ask you to come up, Coach, and to say a few words on behalf of this wonderful, exciting team that does us so proud. Thanks, Mayor.
I got to thank Mayor Tory for having us. We didn't expect to come up here and speak, so I don't have nothing really prepared. So we can thank Pinball for that. But I just want to thank you guys for having us and recognizing our accomplishment this year, and the city of Toronto really supporting us. Showing up to our Grey Cup celebration. That was amazing to see all the fans and the community get behind us. And we want to thank our great fans too as well. We feel like we got really great fans, and we're continuing to build on that. If you look at BMO Field in the Eastern Final, having 17,000 plus fans at that game was pretty electric, and I think that kind of elevated our game a little bit and kind of catapulted us into that Grey Cup to give us a chance to bring home this trophy. So I want to thank our great fans for all the support, the city getting behind us. We want to continue to get involved in the city. As you can see, some of our players, like Mayor said, that live year-round here. We want to continue to build that and continue to grow with you guys as well. So after this, I'll announce, introduce our Grey Cup MVP, Canadian Player of the Game, our linebacker, our star, Henoc Muamba.
Wow. Identity is not determined, it's decided. Identity is not determined by the things that people say. It's not determined by where you stand, where you live, what you drive. It is decided by the person that you choose to become, by the things that you do on a daily basis. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, me personally, and I think that as a team we did learn on our journey this year to capturing this great big trophy. We had an amazing season. We had great support from the city, great support from the fans. Again, I'm blessed and I'm honored to just be able to speak on behalf of my teammates, those who are here present right now, and those who aren't as well. We had great leadership, starting from the top down. Pinball's not here, he was a great leader. Coach Dinwiddie and the rest of the coaching staff that are here as well. And that's the reason why we're able to achieve and reach the level that we did this past season. A lot of times people ask me this past season, hey, what was the biggest thing that you learned? And I talk about the fact that there were so many things that were said about this particular game, this big game. Mayor Tory was talking about, hey, Winnipeg was a very valiant team. They were very deserving. They had accomplished so many things over the years. As a matter of fact, if they had won this year, they would have won the Grey Cup for the third time in a row. But what we did under the leadership of Coach Dinwiddie, we were able to focus and unite and come together as a team. I truly believe that there's nothing in this world that cannot be done with unity and love. And that is what we're able to accomplish together unity, and love. Thank you to the City of Toronto.
I was just asking because we talked on the day of that celebration you made reference to, because and we still claim him as our own anyway, because he is actually a product of Mississauga. Unfortunately, when I say unfortunately, I mean, you all know what I mean. But he's one of ours from the GTA. So that's typical, though, of the Canadian players that are a big part of this game, and it's a source of great pride. And so even though it's Mississauga, when we annex Mississauga, he'll then be from Toronto. But just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, we're very proud of you, and thank you for being here today. And I presume you should probably take this back with you because we can't keep it here. We would otherwise. If you want us to keep it at City Hall on display, that's fine. But otherwise, you should take it back. I know there's oh my goodness gracious. I know, it's the traffic. May I call upon Pinball to say a few words?
All right, thank you so much. All right. Wow. Well, I do want to say that I'm very proud to be here this morning, and I really would like to acknowledge our mayor. And would you, and I know that on a platform like this, we don't all agree all the time, right? Same happens on our football team. But in doing that, we find a way to work together because we are better together. And I would just ask if you wouldn't mind giving our leader a unified round of applause. Would you? Go ahead. Now in this, I don't mean somebody, I mean everybody. Let's try it again. Woo! All right. And even greater applause to the greater group here. So happy to be here. And in saying that, we had a team this year that, we had guys who got injured. We had other guys who struggled. We had guys who played in a position that was different from the position that they desired to play in. But in the end, they all worked together and figured it out. And that's what a great team does. And I want to let you know that this city has been a gift to me. I came here to play football, and I fell in love with this city and this country. We are amazing. Like when you get in these meetings sometimes and you dig in and we in there, it feels, But I want you to know that we are amazing. Or as I like to say, phenomenal. Would you say it with me? Here we go. Very quickly, I need to give some words to people who are smarter than I am. And the words of Dr. King, this is, I believe, the anniversary of his I Have a Dream speech. One of my favorite quotes of his, he says, the concepts of love and power have been contrasted as polar opposites in our society. In order to exercise love, we must resign ourselves of power, and vice versa. He said, but love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power without love is reckless and abusive. Indeed, power at its best is love. The two are synonymous. We have great power in this room. And the thing I have great confidence in is our love is even greater. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves that our love for the people we serve is even greater than the power that we have to make change. In its truest sense, I have to at least make one quote of a football guy. The Venerable Vince Lombardi suggested when a football player goes to ply his trade, he's got to play from the soles of his feet right up to his head. He says, now some players play with their head, and that's a good thing. He says, but more importantly, you have to play with your heart, with every fiber of your body. He says, now, if you're ever lucky enough to find a player with a great head and a great heart, he'll never come off the field in second place. Power and love, head and heart. One more time for Dr. King. He said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep going. So proud to be in this presence of you all today. I love what you've done with our city, what you continue to do with our city. And when you get a little bit frustrated on a little something, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, Toronto, let's keep moving. As I close, I want to say that this championship wasn't the result of perfection, but it was the result of collaboration. These two men were the greatest collaborators on our team. One as a player, one as a coach, and they brought our team together. I'd ask you as we move forward to continue to do your best to bring this team together. The reality is, they gave us this beautiful trophy that is from 1909, was awarded by the Governor General of Canada, Lord Earl Grey, and that's why it's called the Grey Cup. Consistent with that, I want you to know that that trophy represents a champion. And you, as a team, are the greatest champions for our city. We don't give you a cup, but what you do is much more important. So we are grateful for you. We're cheering for you. And we want to say congratulations to every member of this city and this greater community, and especially our big, our Argo fans. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm a little long-winded. I apologize for that.
All right.